So this all happened back in 2017, when I was 23 years old. I had just moved into the basement apartment at my Uncle Pete's house in a small town called Briarfield, about an hour outside of Portland. The place wasn't huge, but it was perfect for me. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, a living room, and my own private side entrance. Best part? It was dirt cheap, and Uncle Pete worked as a long-haul trucker, so he was barely home. The apartment was technically part of the house, separated by a locked door that led to the upstairs. That door was right next to the stairs, and always made me a little uneasy, not for any good reason at the time, but just because I didn't like the idea that someone could come walking down them. Anyway, one weekend in October, Pete was out on a week-long run to Chicago, and I had the house all to myself. I invited my two friends, Eric and Marco, over for drinks and a movie night. Nothing crazy, just a chill night with a few beers, music, and a horror movie marathon because, well, it was spooky season. We hung out in the basement living room, music turned up, watching The Thing and cracking dumb jokes. Around midnight, we were pretty buzzed, and neither of them felt like driving back home. So they crashed on the huge L-shaped couch down there, plenty of space for both. After I shut everything off, I said goodnight, went into my bedroom, and locked the door like I always do. I'm just paranoid like that. A few hours later, I woke up, groggy, disoriented, and kind of sweaty. It was pitch black, and I couldn't figure out what had stirred me. Then I heard it. Footsteps, upstairs, slow, heavy ones, moving across the kitchen floor, directly above my room. I just laid there listening. My first thought was that maybe Eric or Marco had gone upstairs looking for water or a snack. But then I remembered something that made my stomach twist a little. I had locked the basement door that connects to the upstairs. Always did when Pete wasn't home. Still, maybe I forgot? I wanted to believe that. Then I heard the sound of the basement stairs creaking, that old, wooden kind of groan when someone walks down them slowly. One step, pause, another step, another pause. Whoever it was stopped just outside my bedroom door. Then the knob turned. Thank God it was locked. I sat up in bed, heart pounding so loud I thought whoever was outside would hear it. The knob jiggled a few more times. Then silence. No knocking, no footsteps, just dead silence. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just stared at that doorknob, half expecting it to turn again, or the door to burst open. After what felt like forever, I heard footsteps going back up the stairs, creaking slowly, one step at a time. Eventually, I passed out again, probably from sheer exhaustion. The next morning, Eric had already left, but Marco was still asleep on the couch. When he woke up, I asked if he had gone upstairs last night. He looked confused and said no. He didn't even remember falling asleep. He joked that maybe I dreamt it, but I wasn't so sure. Still, I let it go. I didn't tell him how scared I really was. That night, they were both gone, and I had the whole place to myself again. I got home around 10 after hanging out with some coworkers. I wasn't drunk or anything, just tired. I made a snack, watched an episode of The X-Files, then turned in for the night. But I couldn't sleep. I had this weird feeling like something was off, like the air was heavier than normal. I know that sounds dumb, but it's true. It felt like I was being watched. Just as I was about to close my eyes, I heard it again. Footsteps, upstairs, only this time they were quicker, not slow like the night before. It sounded like someone was pacing back and forth, across the living room. Then they stopped. Then the stairs creaked. This time I didn't even get out of bed. I just froze under the blanket, staring at the door. The knob didn't turn. But instead, ... there was a knock. A soft, deliberate knock. Knock, knock. 3 of them. Then silence again. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and texted Uncle Pete, Eric, Marco, even my cousin Megan, who lived nearby. Nobody responded. Then the doorknob started turning, slowly, not jiggling this time, like someone was trying to open it without being noticed. I finally whispered, "Who's there?" Nothing, not even a sound. I grabbed the mini baseball bat I kept beside my bed, more for comfort than actual protection, and tiptoed to the far corner of the room, where I could hide behind the dresser. I sat there for at least 10 minutes, barely breathing. The doorknob never moved again. Eventually, I worked up the courage to call 911. I whispered everything to the dispatcher, told them I thought someone was in the house and that I was in the basement, too afraid to come out. The operator was calm, told me to stay on the line, and said officers were on the way. I asked if one of them could tap on my bedroom window when they arrived. I was too scared to leave the room otherwise. A few minutes later, there was a knock on the glass. I peeked through the blinds and saw a police officer with a flashlight. I opened the window and handed him the key to the side door. Soon I heard the door open, followed by footsteps, normal, confident ones. I opened my bedroom door and came out. The two officers did a full sweep of the basement. Nothing. Then they checked the main floor. Still nothing. Then they went upstairs to Uncle Pete's floor. That's when I heard them shout. I rushed up behind them just in time to see one of the officers yanking someone, a filthy, wild-eyed man, from under Uncle Pete's bed. He was tall, gaunt, wearing a stained hoodie and ripped shorts, barefoot. His eyes looked ... empty, but also full of hate, like he wasn't fully there. When the officers brought him downstairs, one of them asked, "Do you know this man?" I shook my head. Never seen him before. The guy stared at me the whole way out of the house. Didn't say a word, just glared like I'd interrupted something, or ruined something for him. After they left, I locked every single door and window and barely slept the rest of the night. Uncle Pete came home the next day. When I told him everything, he went pale. He said that a few weeks earlier, he'd heard weird noises upstairs while sleeping on the couch, but chalked it up to old pipes or animals on the roof. We didn't press charges. The cops said the guy was probably homeless, maybe mentally ill. Since he didn't hurt anyone or take anything, they just took him in for trespassing. But here's the part that still haunts me. The basement couch cushions had been moved, and in the laundry room, way in the back, there was an old sleeping bag. It looked like it had been used recently. Dust disturbed. Water bottles nearby. Meaning, he might have been living in that house for days. Maybe even before we had the movie night. He could have been under the stairs, behind the furnace, anywhere, watching, waiting. Every now and then, I still wonder what would have happened if I didn't lock my bedroom door that first night. Or worse, what if I had opened it? You ever get that feeling that something's just ... watching you? Even when you're completely alone? Yeah, I didn't used to either. My name's Max, and this all happened just last fall, in 2023. I was living up in a quiet little cabin in a place called Whisper Pines, tucked deep into the woods of Oregon. Most people haven't even heard of it. And honestly, that's part of the reason I moved there. No traffic, no neighbors. Just trees, birds, and silence. I'd left Portland after my job fell apart and figured I'd take some time to clear my head. My uncle had left me the place in his will, a run-down 2-bedroom cabin that hadn't seen much life in years. It was peaceful, old, but cozy. The kind of place where you wake up to deer on your front porch and fall asleep to the sound of crickets. I spent my days fixing the place up and fishing in the little lake just behind the property. Nights were for beers on the porch, bundled up in a hoodie, watching the stars poke through the trees. I liked it. I liked being alone. At least, I thought I was alone. The first weird thing happened on a Tuesday. I remember because I had just gotten back from town. It's a 45-minute drive, one way, and I was unloading groceries when I heard it. A soft crack from the woods behind the cabin, like someone stepping on a dry branch. I paused, bags in hand, and listened. Then nothing. Could have been a deer, I figured, or a raccoon. The woods are full of life. But then it kept happening. Not all at once, not loud, just little snaps, little rustles. At first, I brushed it off, but it started happening every night. Same time, just after sunset. I'd be out on the porch, sipping a beer, and I'd hear it. Snap, rustle, snap. Always out in the same direction, the far edge of the tree line. Always watching distance. One night, I got tired of wondering. I brought out my flashlight and shined it into the woods. Nothing. Just trees, branches, and the thick, black stretch of night. I told myself I was being dramatic. I'd been isolated too long. That kind of stuff messes with your head, right? But then came the scratching. I was inside one night, sitting on the couch watching an old movie when I heard it. A scrape light, slow coming from the wall near the guest bedroom. It was like something dragging across the wood outside. Not fast, not loud, just slow, deliberate. I muted the TV and listened. There it was again. Scratch, scratch, pause, scratch. It was like something testing the wall, like it was looking for a way in. I got up, went to the window, and peeked outside. Just trees, just night. Still, I locked every door and window in the house, just in case. The next few nights were worse. That sound, it didn't stay at the wall. It moved. One night it was under the floorboards. Another, it was at the back door. Then the bathroom window. Never the same place twice. And always after sunset. One night, I was brushing my teeth when I heard it again. But this time, it wasn't scratching. It was tapping. 3 soft taps right on the bathroom window. Tap, tap, tap. I froze, toothbrush in hand, foam dripping from my mouth. I turned slowly to the window. My heart was thudding in my chest. There was nothing there. But I swear on everything I love, the condensation on the window had 3 little circles where the tapping had come from. Like fingerprints. I didn't sleep much that night. About a week later, I decided to do a full sweep of the cabin. I figured maybe some animal had gotten under the crawl space. I checked the attic, the shed, even the old basement with the rusted door I hated going into. Nothing. Then I checked the guest bedroom. I hardly ever used it. The door stayed closed most of the time. But when I opened it, the air was stale, like the room had been sealed off for years. I walked in slowly, flashlight in one hand, the other gripping a crowbar. You know, just in case. Everything looked fine until I glanced at the closet. The door was cracked open. I never leave it like that. I moved closer, heart pounding in my ears. I reached out, grabbed the knob, and slowly pulled it open. Nothing, just an empty closet. I sighed, feeling stupid, until my light caught something down at the bottom corner. A scrap of black fabric. It was jammed between the boards, torn, old, and definitely not mine. And right next to it was something else. A handprint, small, like a child's, but smeared across the wood in a reddish-brown stain. That's when I panicked. I slammed the closet shut, locked the door, and ran outside, breathing like I'd just sprinted a mile. I stayed out there for hours, staring at the woods, listening, but it was dead quiet. Too quiet. I slept on the couch that night, crowbar beside me. I didn't hear anything. But the next night? Oh man! I was in bed, finally feeling like I might sleep, when I heard it again. Tap, tap. I sat up straight. It was louder this time. Closer. I grabbed the flashlight and crept down the hallway toward the guest room. Every step felt like walking through glue. My hands were shaking. My breath came in short little bursts. When I reached the window and yanked back the curtain, there was someone standing there, right outside, not moving, not even blinking. Just standing there, staring. I dropped the flashlight, scrambled backward. My chest felt like it was about to explode. I couldn't see a face, just a figure. Tall, still, like a shadow come to life. And then it smiled. I swear it smiled. I didn't wait to see more. I ran for the phone and dialed 911. My fingers kept slipping. When the dispatcher answered, I could barely speak. Someone's outside. My house. They're watching me. She said they were sending someone. But then I heard it again. Not outside. Inside. A floorboard creaking. In the hallway. I didn't stop to think. I bolted for the back door, flung it open, and ran into the woods in nothing but my pajamas. The air was freezing. Branches tore at my arms, but I didn't care. I ran until I saw red and blue lights flashing through the trees. I flagged them down, screaming like a madman. They stormed the cabin, guns drawn. But whoever or whatever was inside was gone. I haven't gone back. Haven't even driven near Whisper Pines. The police searched the house, said they found muddy footprints, bare feet leading from the guest bedroom to the attic, but nothing else. No signs of forced entry. No tools, no person. Just that handprint in the closet, and the smile I can't unsee. I called to tell them I was safe, so they wouldn't issue a search. But I left everything behind. Clothes, gear. That cabin can rot for all I care. Even now, when it gets real quiet at night, sometimes I still hear it. Tap, tap, like it followed me, like it remembers, like it's waiting. Let me tell you about the night I stopped trusting noises in the dark. It happened when I was 14. It was 2016, and I was living in this quiet little town called Pine Hollow, one of those places with more trees than people, and just enough streetlights to make the shadows feel alive. That night, my mom and stepdad were out at a casino an hour away. They left around 6 p.m. and wouldn't be back until after midnight. I didn't mind. I liked having the house to myself. It was just me and our dog, Max, a chunky golden retriever who was more of a cuddle bug than a watchdog. Or at least, that's what I thought. It was about 11:30. I was lying on the couch in my pajamas, snacking on chips and watching videos on my laptop. I had all the lights off except for a little lamp beside me. The soft yellow glow felt cozy, and I liked the way it kept the rest of the room just a little bit dark. Max was asleep by my feet, snoring like a lawnmower, when suddenly his head shot up, his ears perked. He let out a low growl, deep in his throat. I froze, my hand halfway to the chip bowl. "What is it, buddy?" I whispered. He stood up, tail stiff, and faced the front windows. They looked out over the driveway. I followed his gaze, but it was pitch black outside. No headlights, no movement. Just the reflection of the room on the glass. Then Max barked, loud, sharp, like he meant it. I jumped and tried to shush him, but he wasn't having it. He was pacing now, barking toward the front door. I paused my video, listening hard. Nothing, just his barks bouncing off the walls. I got up and tiptoed to the door, heart thumping. I peeked through the curtain. Only our car was in the driveway. No one was there. Probably just a raccoon, I mumbled, trying to convince myself. I pulled Max away and gave him a treat to calm him down. He chewed it, but he kept glancing at the front door, restless. I went back to the couch, though the fun of the night was fading. Something didn't feel right. My skin itched like I was being watched. A few minutes later, Max growled again. This time, he faced the side door, the one no one ever used. It led to a narrow pathway between our house and the fence, hidden from the street. I felt my stomach tighten. Tap. It was faint, but I heard it. Like fingertips against the glass. Tap. Tap. Max lost it. He barked and growled, throwing his body at the door. My heart shot into my throat. I didn't move. I just stared at the doorknob, waiting for it to jiggle, waiting for anything to tell me what was out there. But it went quiet again. I tiptoed over and peeked through the tiny window above the doorknob. Nothing, just shadows. I locked the door again, just in case. I should have called my parents. I should have called someone, but I didn't want to sound scared. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a cat, maybe wind. I was halfway back to the living room when I heard it. A slow, scraping sound coming from downstairs. We had a basement unfinished, cold, full of creaky wooden stairs and forgotten boxes. The only way in from outside was through a door hidden behind the deck in our backyard. It was barely visible even in daylight, and someone was out there. Max was trembling now, barking like mad, running from the side door to the top of the basement stairs and back again. I stood frozen, listening. Creak. That was the basement door. No mistaking it. Someone was trying to open it. Scrape. Wiggle. Thump. I backed up, my hands shaking. My skin was ice cold. I whispered Max's name, but he wouldn't come to me. Then everything stopped. No barking. No scraping, just silence. I couldn't breathe. Max suddenly bolted down the stairs, snarling like an animal I didn't recognize. He was sweet, gentle, afraid of the vacuum cleaner. But now he sounded like he wanted to rip someone apart. Then, nothing. No barking. No footsteps. I grabbed the house phone and ran to my mom's room. She and my stepdad kept an old rifle in their closet. I didn't know if it was loaded. I didn't care. I held it like it mattered. I shut myself in the closet, the phone in one hand, gun in the other, Max's silence echoing in my ears. I was about to dial 911 when I heard it, the front door opening. "Max!" I gasped. I burst out of the closet, yelling his name, and then I heard voices. Familiar ones. My mom. My stepdad, laughing. They were home. Max sprinted toward them, wagging his tail like nothing had happened. I stood there, shaking, trying to speak. When I finally told them what had happened, they stopped smiling. My mom looked pale. My stepdad grabbed the rifle from me and started checking the basement. He searched every inch of the house, but nothing was broken. No doors forced open, no footprints. It was like nothing had happened, but something did. The next day, just after lunch, there was a knock at the front door. I froze. I couldn't help it. My heart pounded like a drum. My stepdad answered it. Standing there was Mr. Calhoun, a weird old friend of the family. He wasn't related to us, but he used to come to parties, barbecues, holidays, until people started avoiding him. There was something off about him. Too many jokes that didn't land. Too many times he stared too long at the younger cousins. No one ever said it out loud, but we all felt it. He was holding an envelope. We listened from the hallway as he said, "I stopped by last night to drop this off. Didn't think anyone was home. That's all I needed to hear." My stepdad didn't say much. Just nodded, took the envelope, and shut the door hard. He handed it to me. Inside was a card that said, "Thanks for helping Lily with softball. You're a great kid." There was a gift card tucked in it. I stared at it like it was poisoned. All the fear, the noises, the doorknob turning, Max going wild, that had been him. Mr. Calhoun, sneaking around our house, trying to get in, at night, without calling, without knocking on the front door, like a normal person. We never saw him again. My stepdad called him later that day and told him to stay away. Forever. But I still think about it. What if Max hadn't been there? What if he had gotten inside? What was he really trying to do? I never want to know. But every time I hear a tap on a window or a creak from the basement, I wonder if he's still out there, watching, waiting.